Let's imagine that you and I were meeting on New Year's Eve in the year 2025. We're sitting down at a fancy restaurant. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's almost going to be 2026. And what would have to be true for you to be able to tell me that the last 5 years were your best 5 years ever? Where would you have to be living? Who would you have to be hanging out with? What would you be driving? What kind of a career would you be involved in? What kind of organizations are you helping out? How is your spiritual practice doing these days? And what are you doing to fulfill your life's major definite purpose? You see, there are two universal things about change that are always true and will be true 5 years from now. One is that change is inevitable and it is expanding exponentially. The other is that the next 5 years are going to pass anyway. And so are you going to spend those 5 years becoming a victim of that change or a victor as a result of self-directing change, learning what you needed to learn to accomplish the goals that you and I are talking about, and unlearning what you need to unlearn so that you can stop becoming a victim of the beliefs that have been hardwired into you. What most people don't recognize is that these failing times are, yes, tough indeed. But there's always been and there's always going to be failing times. Life is a series of problems interrupted by the occasional crisis. Right now, as I create this video, we are talking about a pandemic. We're talking about difficulties with relationships between countries and communities, and even within societies itself. We're having a difficult time figuring out, okay, where are we going to go? And quite frankly, it feels like the end of the world is imminent for most people. But here's something that is universally true. Almost since the beginning of time, people have been predicting the end of the world. And yet time rolls on. And it's the people that become stronger and wiser in difficult times that drive us out of these changes and drive us into a new, higher consciousness. So what does that mean? That means that there are strategies, tactics, and techniques that you can go ahead and learn, and there are beliefs that you can adopt and beliefs that you can unlearn or release that can guarantee that you can have the most amazing future possible for you. My name is Corey Janke. I'm the author of The Successful Thinker, and I've been a pharmacist in a community for 30 years. I've seen people go from 30 to 60. I've seen people go from 60 to 90. And myself, I have struggled more than I have not struggled in life. And one of the things that I learned is that if it's to be, it's up to me. And so what do I mean by that? What I mean is that as the future unfolds in front of us, there are always times that we feel helpless, we feel that we are powerless, we feel that change is happening to us and not through us. Successful people don't operate this way. Successful people look at any difficulty and say, what is the opportunity within this difficulty that I can use to make the best possible present and move towards the best possible future? So here's what I mean. You are an incredible human being. No one is smarter than you. No one is better than you. What other people have learned, you can learn. What other people have unlearned, you can unlearn. But the problem is that you've got to recognize that when we hold on to this idea that life should be somehow fair or that things should be different, it's only holding us back. Most people don't understand that in every difficulty there is an opportunity, and oftentimes those opportunities seem counterintuitive. So when you look at something like COVID-19 and people are afraid of losing someone that they love, what if they stood back and said, well, if I was afraid of losing someone that I love, maybe now would be a really good time to make sure that I tell that person that I care about them. I know of a family named Karen and Joe, and one day Karen walked outside and asked Joe if he wanted to go for ice cream. And Joe was busy in the garage working on his favorite car, but he said, okay, let's go for ice cream. They went to go for ice cream. 5 minutes later, they went around a corner and a guy was coming in the wrong lane. And unfortunately, Karen was killed and Joe was injured to the point where he was in the hospital for more than 6 months. Joe kept telling me that he regretted not telling Karen that he loved her enough. He regretted all the times that he thought that he wanted to say something nice to her, he wanted to do something nice for her, and he just let the moment pass. So I'm asking you to see the opportunity in any kind of a fear. If you are afraid something is going to happen, what if you did this? What if you took the approach that, the antidote to fear is action. What successful thinkers do is they take massive action in the direction of their fear. In other words, they face their fear so that they can overpower their fears. Because what successful thinkers know is that you have the opportunity to intentionally create the future that you want. So that when you sit down with me in New York City in the year 2025, you're able to say, you know what? I had a vision of the future that I wanted, and I started taking direction towards that future. I started small. I started by asking myself, if I want the future that I believe that I am capable of, I have to start doing A, B, and C today. Now, sometimes you don't believe that you're capable of anything except waiting around for someone to come along and fix your life. But unfortunately, no one is coming. So you have to recognize that every time that you feel that you're not capable of something, there's an internal story playing in your brain that someone told you along the way, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. Unlearn that story. Let that story go. That story is false. I want you to recognize that 90% of what we believe is based on a lie. You already know that the media is designed to put your attention up for sale. And so the media will do whatever it takes to hold your attention, which includes telling you lies, which includes telling you half-truths, which includes making you question what you believe. So going forward, what I want you to do is develop a series of questions and goal-setting activities. So ask yourself, what do I need to unlearn? What do I need to learn? And what would my future be like if I put the blinders on everything that could go wrong and started focusing on what could go right? Successful thinkers look for information that is relative to them and their future, and they let go of everything else. Successful thinkers go ahead and simplify their lives, surround themselves with people who make them feel better and stronger, and then they model the behaviors that they want to see from themselves for other people, so that going forward, your future happens by design and not by default. Won't you join me on New Year's Eve in the year 2025 and tell me that, you know what? COVID was scary, race relations was scary, country relations was scary, but I changed the way I thought about it. I learned what I needed to learn, and I let go of all of those disempowering beliefs so that I could become the best version of myself ever. I know that you can do it. I believe in you, and I want the best for you.